Okay, so welcome to day 3, and today we're going to explore the Flutter project. Yesterday we talked about prospect.yaml file as the configuration for our project. We talked about the main.dart, we talked about the library, we talked about all this stuff. So if you have not seen that video, you can watch it again. But today we are going to be talking about what is widget in Flutter. So let's go to Flutter dev and let's see, like you want to get started. So I talked about yesterday for a bit. And when you are doing user interface, you'll be working with widgets a lot. So let's go to Excalidraw and let me talk about it in a bit. Okay. So now let's say I have this page. Let me go to something like dribble.com. Also, can you hear me loud and clear? So I know that everything is set. Hi, Latif. Can you hear me loud and clear? Okay, very clear. Great. Okay, so you are a mobile app developer. You are a mobile app developer. So for someday you are going to be working with UI designers, and they are going to be giving you something like this. You probably have heard something they called Figma. I'm not sure why my internet is this slow. It's looking good. So you'll be having a design file. They usually call it Figma file. So let's say you are given a Figma. Let's go to maybe my Figma. And let's see if I can bring up a project. Okay, this one. Let's see. Okay, so let's open this. You won't have access to this, but so a designer gives you a UI design like this. You are the mobile app developer. So you have this UI, this login screen, and they told you to implement this in Flutter. So we want to now break this down in a bit. Let me see. Let's see if I can export this. Let's export. Okay. I'm going to export it as an image. I'm going to drag it here on Excalidraw. Okay, so you have this UI. And they told you to write a code for it. So let's sort of write the code here first, so that you see that everything that you're doing in Flutter is like building blocks. It's like you're building a house. So everything has to fit. So you see a window frame is a widget. You see, when you're building a house, you have to put the window frame. You are putting the roof, that is a widget. So you have to put all the parts in it to make sure this is there. Okay, so we have this UI. There is something here that is the base. We can call it a container. So let's say we want to change the background of this container. Let's just give it this color. So we have colored this background. You see? Let's just say it's the same color. Now we want to have this already have an account. There's something we call, see, this is another widget. This is a building block. So if you want to implement, you're probably going to have a widget that comes here. And then there's a space between here and here. You need to factor in the space as well. So we can say there's a space widget in between here and here. Now this is a text, right? You can see it like this. You see we have another widget here, basically. And then there's a space between here and here. Are you looking at it? See? Basically. Good. So we give it a space to, it is another widget. That's like a space widget. You will see all these widgets in Flutter. And then the user is supposed to enter their email address. So it's receiving an input. So this is like an input widget that you will write. Inputs. Same thing as this one. Inputs widget. If you look at it properly, there's a space between the first input and the second input. So we denote that space as well. It can be really tiny, but then it's a space. And then we have another one here, which is like a text. So to save our time, I'm not going to be giving all the spaces, but you get the idea. And then from here to here, there's a space there. Here, there's a space. And then you have a big continue button. And you have a space. Let's denote this by the space here. Oh, what's this? Okay. And then we have the or, which is a text widget. And then there's a space from or to here. Okay, when we get here, you can see these are 3 items, like 3 icons on the same line. So how do we do that in Flutter? We will say there's a widget that is a row widget. This is a row widget. So row widget takes in as many widgets as you want on the same line, on the same row. So we say row widgets. So how do we now tell each of this one? We will now use another widget to tell each of these ones. You can see we have broken down this UI into widgets, which is the same thing that Flutter is giving us. In between them, there are spaces that we tell Flutter to give them. So that we have broken this down, this design down into this thing. And this is how you can code. Now there's a little bit of also problem here. Remember when I created this, I said there is a container at the bottom. But you cannot fit all this in a container. You have to fit it in something that will accept a list of widgets. Look at this row widget that we did. It's a row widget that takes in 3 icons, but these ones have to take in multiple widgets. So at the bottom of your container, we need to have another widget that we call the column widget. A column widget takes in multiple horizontal widgets. So you can be having multiple horizontal widgets. So Inside the column widget is where we are going to add all these things inside it. So that's the breakdown of widgets in Flutter. You can see that they are basically just building blocks that you are fitting in here, fit this one here, fit this one here, and it becomes your own UI. That is it. Okay. So now someone is saying Siegfried. I think it's only on your end. Perhaps you need to refresh. Okay, so do you understand now? Were you able to grab the concept of breaking down that UI? Do you get that? Or do you want me to repeat? Do you have questions before you continue? It's important you understand how you break down UIs. Because that's the superpower you have as a Flutter developer. When you see a design, you can easily tell that, oh, this is the widget that goes here. It's like you are looking at a house, but it has a window frame. How do you know that a window frame should go there? Because it looks like a window. So you know that a window frame should go there. That's exactly what you do. So it's the same thing for every UI that you look at. You will look at the UI. Let's look at this UI. You look at this UI and say, oh, nice. And then you can say, oh, the UI is gone. Let's look at another one. Okay. Why is it so slow? Okay, we can have another one. And you can say, this is a widget, this one. And then you can have a column, you can have a row, a column, 3 rows, a column and 3 rows. And can I draw? You can have a column, and then you can have a row, another row, and another row here. So let me delete this guy. Although there's another widget that you can use to do this, because this looks like a grid, but we get there. But for now, that's simple how you break down UIs in Flutter. A good UI designer, I doubt. I'm pretty much bad in UIs. So that's exactly this one. So let's go into a code now instead of talking. Let's open this bootcamp stuff. So, but before we go, there's something I really wanted to teach you guys before we continue. And it's in that there's something we call classes. Because every widget that you've been working on in Flutter is a class. Look at it now. You can see you denote it by class. You can say class everywhere. So whatever you want to work on, it's a class. Look at this center widget. If you go inside, you will discover that it is a class. See, class. So let's talk about a class a bit. Dart is an object-oriented language, and it has features like classes interface. A class is a blueprint for creating objects. Now, this is a long story, so let's just Google what a class is. Okay, so let's look at the meaning of a class. a set or category of things having some property. Look at it now. It has property or attribute in common and differentiated from other kinds by type, quality, and stuff. That's the basic English of it. So let's say, let's go to our that part for now. I'll show you why you need a class. What is a class? So outside of here, I can say class. Now, if you go to is a category of things having some properties. So a class will have some properties. Look at it now. So let's say you want to define a car, for example. You want to define a car, or you want to define an animal. You use something like a class. You want to define something. You want to define a noun. A noun. You want to define an animal, place, or thing. You know a noun in English. You want to define it. You use a class. So you use the keyword class and you call the name. So now let's use the example here and say a car. So now we want to describe a car. But remember that inside here, they said it's going to have some property. So now inside a car, you have to define some property. You have to define what tells you that it is a car. So for example, and those properties are called field. They are called field, for example. Look at it. So how do you declare a property? You just declare like a normal variable that you have. You can say, like they have here, this car has an engine E101. E101. Make sure you finish it with this. So now inside a class, you can then have methods like functions, like we said yesterday. So we can inside it, you can tell a car to take some action. You can tell it to do stuff. So, but for example, here they are saying that they want the car to display its engine. So that means that it should print its engine. Simple like this. So we have defined a car that has this type of engine. Inside the car property, you are telling the car to display its engine. So basically, you are building a car like this because you are telling the car its engine. You can give it other properties, as many properties as you want. And you can give it some sort of action. You can tell it to run. You can tell it to slow down. You can tell it. So now what you have done is to just display its engine. So now when you have defined your class, you need to create an instance of that class. And how to create an instance of a class is, so let's go back to our void main now. You can do it like final, and you say, let's say car equals to, you see the class car, you are going to take that and just say car, open and close, and finish it like this. Now, what we have done here is that you have created this, already you have written the properties of this car, you have created a class. But here you are initializing the car, you are making the car real. You are making the car real. You are making the car an instance. It's like it's like you code, it's like you mold a car and then you are putting it up for display here. I've just created it, initialize it here. So if you look at it, you can then do car dot You can see it gives you display here, which you have done. You can do dots and display here. And if you run this code, it's going to print the engine for us. You can see E1001. That's how to create a class in Flutter. So there are other things in classes like the constructor that you need to know. But for now, let's leave it here. When we get there in our dark code, in our Flutter, I will tell you why you need a constructor and the likes. But you do understand what a class is now. Yeah. Okay, someone is saying, how can I get through this recording? Okay, so make sure you join our Discord channel. In Discord, I do post the recording in Discord. So to join our Discord, just go to announcements, click on this link, and you're in. Boom. Okay, so let's continue now. Great. So you have your Flute Lab open. You can do whatever I'm doing here. I'm just comfortable here. So let's go in here. Now that you know the meaning of a class, I am going to delete. So yesterday I talked about the material app as the base, as the foundation of every Flutter application. So I said when you create a new project, you are going to see exactly this code. So you see a material app. So every Flutter project must have a material app here. It has to return it. So because of that, you see from this other one, I'm going to delete it. I've deleted it. So it's giving an error here. So what I'm going to do is in my library folder here, I'm going to right click, say new file. I'm going to say home.dart. Home.dart. In Flute Lab, what you can do is in this library, there is a create file, create folder. Just click on create file. And we are going to do home.dart and create that. To create. So in your main file, remember you are supposed to delete from here. You will not delete from the material app. You delete from here the class my home page. Delete it down and then delete. It gives us this error. Okay. Now we are going to create, so for every widget that you are creating, there's something called stateless widget. Stateless widget from the English means that a widget that does not have states. State in programming, let's see what it means. What is a state? Because I like to Google all this stuff. That can be, okay. So let's say, what is a state? The particular condition that something or someone is at a specific time. So when you say something is stateless, that means that that widget does not have any condition. So, but because you remember that when you have a condition can change at a specific time. They say it's at a specific time. It can change at different times, can change. But when you are talking about the stateless widget, it means that it does not have a state that can change. That means that that widget can never change. It's just like you have a const variable, remember. So it means that that thing can never change. It will be static. What you have written into it cannot change. So we'll see. So inside our home.dart, we need to create a stateless widget. So how do you create stateless widgets? If you're in VS Code, you can just write STLES and then hit enter. Okay, so you are going to see this basic thing. To create a stateless widget in FluteLab, let's see. I'm going to go to home.stle. Okay, you can do the same thing in your FluteLab too. Just put in STLESS and then move down to this one. You see that the icon is different. It's a template. It allows you to write less code. Just hit enter and it creates that. Yay. Good. I hope everyone is following. Yeah. Okay. So now you are going to see a couple of errors here. It's because we have not imported something. There's something called import. Because we are using Flutter, Flutter has given you everything you need to write a good app, to write an app. So when you are creating something, instead of writing all those things from scratch, Flutter has given you. So this stateless widget, you are telling Flutter that I want to create a widget that does not change and it has to be that does not change. So to make it that it does not change, Flutter has to give it to you. So Flutter has it in the material. So when you click on this arrow here and you click on this light bulb, you see import library, import material. Make sure to import material. And when you do that, it will not give any error again. Let's go to FluteLab. The same thing, just put your cursor here and then click on this light bulb, import, and you're good to go. So now, the name that we have called this widget by default is my widget, but I want to change it because the name of our file is home, and I want it to be our home. So I'm going to call it home screen. So because you have home screen here, in the const here, you have to change this one to home screen. Same as this one. This one is stateless. I change it to home screen. I change it to home screen as well. Okay, so we have done that. So we'll go back to our main.dat file. We delete this one and just put the home screen here. We call the class home screen. So it's going to give us an error. Make sure it's the same name that you have given here, that you are giving to it. So you will just click on this light bulb, you will import it, and you have the home screen. So give me 1 minute while you do that. I need to okay. Okay. So where are you lost? So I can recap. Okay, so one says one begins with they are the same. If you import any of them, it's going to okay, you are lost in stateless widgets. Is it creating the stateless widgets or not? Or what are you lost on? Creating the stateless widgets, yes. Okay, let's create another stateless widget. I'm going to call this file profile.dart. So I've created a file in my library folder, lib. So how to create a stateless widget? Just enter STLESS. I'm right, I'm putting it here. STLESS. And once you do STLESS, you will see options for you. So I'm going to select this first option because you can see here, the icon here is telling me that I should create a Flutter stateless widget instead of typing everything from the beginning. So I just hit enter on my keyboard, enter, and I've been able to create it. Now I can change the name of the stateless widget. So the name of the class, I can say profile screen. So you will make sure that the name after class here, you call it the right name, and then in the const constructor, you call it the right name as well. And say profile screen. So do you get it now? It's super easy to create stateless widget. Don't worry. And if you want to do that in FluttLab, you can do that. Let's create a new file and call it profile.dart. And then to do that, you write STLESS. And then you scroll down, you see this icon, scroll down a bit, you see that these are a template. And you hit enter. Once you hit enter, you'll be able to edit. So let's say profile screen. And you have profile here. So to import, just click this place that and the stateless widget that has errors. Click on this light bulb, you will see a light bulb, and then you import material. You can watch this video after the class to get it properly, but that is how to create a stateless widget. So in our case, we created a home screen, and then we linked it up in the main.dart. We link it up in the home property. If you delete this, there's a home property, and you can link it up. This. Yeah. So we have created the home screen. So let us run the app. Let me see if I can run the app. I'm going to run it on this. So in FluttLab as well, in the home, I want to point it to the home screen. Home screen. It will give me an error. Put my mouse here, click on this light bulb, and import it. There are two imports, but I like to use this one that has the package that shows the full name. So import it. And it removes the error. So now let's run a build. I'm going to run this one on the iPhone 14 Pro Max that I have. Amen. Okay. So it's building. This one too is running. Make sure to build yours too, and let's see what it's going to give us. So it's building, just give it a few moments. And it's going to run. Okay, I think that's finished running. You're probably going to get a blank screen. This one has finished running. Okay, so what we want to do is still run. Okay, here what we want to do is in our home app, you see this one is returning container. So let's start exploring some of the widgets that you'll be using in Flutter. The very first widget that you will use in Flutter is called a scaffold widget. It's a scaffold widget. Let me do that in Flutter Lab. So I go back to the home. Instead of this container, I put in scaffold. And when I save, everything has turned white. So a scaffold widget allows you to create a layout. For your Flutter apps. It basically creates a layout for you. It has some option. Let me see. For example, if you go to so when you are using an app, there's usually an app bar on the app like this. So how do you give it an app bar? So every widget in Flutter usually have properties that you can play around with. For example, in this scaffold, it has a property called app bar. In this app bar, you can pass another widget called app bar there. See? You can pass another widget called app bar. It comes with Flutter. So it's really pretty sweet. So when I save, you see, it creates this app bar for me. Looking interesting. Are you confused? Do I continue? Okay. Looks like. So you see, it has a property of app bar, and I've been able to set an app bar for it. In that same app bar, it has another property. Let's say if you look at it, if you hover it now, you will probably see some of the property. They will even tell you what you can do. Look at this now. There's an image here. It tells you that there is a leading property, a title property, an action property. See, there's a title property here. Let's do it. Title. The title property is asking for a text widget. So there's a widget in Flutter called a text widget. Look at it, they are basic widgets. A text widget lets you create a run of style text with your application. So there's a text widget there. Remember when I was drawing this, I said this already have an account, is a widget, is a text widget. So now there's a text widget like that. If you want to write on your app, you use a text widget. So let's just write a text widget here. You see, when you write a text widget, you create the class, and then you can write anything. Flutter Bootcamp 1.0. Hey, let's go. We are creating apps. Yes. Yeah, we have created, you probably have created your first. I wish you can attach. Oh no. I wish you can attach images in your chat so that I can see everybody with what you have done. So basically, we have created an app bar. Now remember that when we talked about app bar and we look at it, They are saying, they will even try to give you an example, sir. So there is an icon. They say it will be here. This is the title. Title will try to be in the center. There is a widget here that they call leading. So let's do it. Leading. So if you have it, add the leading. Leading takes in a widget. You can pass in anything. But for this tutorial, I'm going to pass an icon. An icon also has a widget. Everything is just widgets. And we just say icons.home. Oh, sorry. I wrote it somewhere else. I'm supposed to write it inside the app bar. So you can see we have an icon. Looking good. Looking nice. So inside this app bar, we have leading, we have title. And it's cool. So are you still following? You want to update your LinkedIn as a Flutter developer. Okay. So now remember that scaffold that scaffolds a new. So think of a scaffold as an empty sheet that you can be putting something on top. It's like an empty sheet that you can add multiple widgets on top of it. So here, what you have done is basically added the empty sheet has given us some predefined things if we need it. So out of it is an app bar that inside it we have created a test widget and we have written Flutter Bootcamp 1.0. And then we sort of added a home icon. So look at this now. Is this not the same thing as this? Are they not the same? Basically. Boom. And you can easily read it like this. So let's put it side by side. We have a sheet, which is our scaffold sheet. Inside the sheet, we have an app bar that we have here, right? Inside the app bar, there is a leading, which has a home icon, which is here. And remember that it's still inside that app bar that we have a title. Here. Boom. Looks good. Right. Now, I think you people have graduated. You are now Flutter developers. You can go ahead and be creating Flutter stuff. I think we should end the class here because you guys are developers now. You can create a scaffold. Okay, so with that said, every widget comes with its own configuration. You can configure it a bit. So I will tell you how to configure it a bit, but let's still talk about the scaffold. Now, the scaffold comes with predefined properties. For example, so inside the scaffold, there's something called body. Body here. So it is in this body, these are the rest. So you see from here down here on the sheet is the body. So this is basically the body. Let's drag it out here. So inside the body, you want to do some flexing things. Remember that I told you, oh no. Oh, thank God. Remember that I told you that if you want to add a list of widgets, you want to add a list, horizontal list. I mean vertical lists. You want to be having widgets. You want to arrange it like this, and they should go from top to the bottom. I mentioned a widget the other time. What was the widget that I mentioned? What was the widget that I mentioned? Yes, that's a column. I mentioned a column. I said a column can take horizontal things, and it takes a list of widgets. So I'm going to add a column here. So once I open and close, it's already telling me that what children do I want to have inside it. So I'm going to click that, and you see that you can add as many children as you want. You can add plenty children here, children of widgets. So for example, I can add an icon and say icon.home, icons.home. See, this is an icon. Inside here, I can say I want to add a text like this, Flutter Bootcamp 1.0. Are you seeing? Inside here, what can I do again? Play a lot of things. A lot of things. Let's add another text. So that is a column for you. You are lost. You are lost. And I guess you have to rewatch my video, this video. So I wish you are not lost. Where are you lost? Let me see if I can bring it back to you. Ogunwa says, but is it only column that can be used to achieve that? Not only column. There's other widgets like list view that can take that. Oh, you cannot be found now. Okay, Siegfried is saying aside icons. So if you look at, let me copy this code here. And I have the ID here. You can see that they are almost the same thing that we have. Flutter is the same thing everywhere. So you can, don't fear. Okay, so if you look at here now, in the leading, it's saying the type is widgets. So for a widget, you can pass in anything as long as it is a widget. It has not told you what type of widget it is. It has told you generally you can pass in a widget. Like it's telling, like you can say, like they gave you a space and told you you can park any type of car in this space. There are some widgets that they will tell you that for this widget, this is a particular type of widget that you can pass in. They can write it that you can only pass in an icon. For example, look at the icon widget. The icon widget is telling you that you can only pass in an icon data. But for this leading, it has widgets. It's telling you that you can pass in any type of car. You can pass in a Lambo, you can pass in a truck, you can pass in a Tesla. Oh, you guys should contribute money. I need to buy Tesla anyways. So it will be good for me, after these classes, Tesla will be good. No, I'm not a fan of Mercedes. Lagos boys love Mercedes. I don't want to be like those Lagos boys. Yeah, I can make deal with a Porsche, but to be part of the Gen Z, you have to buy a Tesla. Self-driving, I want to save time, but I won't drive it in Nigeria anyways. So apparently you can pass in any type of widget in here. That is what it means. Okay, so let's continue. Let me go back to our Flute Lab. So let's talk about this icon, for example. This icon has a couple of properties. If you hover on it, you should be able to see. I don't think you'll be able to see it properly on, okay. They will give you example. That's how Flutter is so cool. They will even give you example. See, hovering on it, they say after passing the icon, you can even give it a color. You can give it a size. So apparently you can comma color. Let's say you are giving it color.orange. Colors.orange. That's how to give a color. See, I've colored I can give it a size. Let's give it size 48. It's big. Let's say we are giving it 72. It's big. See, Flutter is so sweet because you can configure anything. Just look at it. You can play around with it. You can look at it that, oh, what's possible here? Okay, and add it. I agree. Flutter is cool. What are you people saying here? Okay. Now, let's go to the text widget. The text widget has a couple of properties too. So let's see if they give us an example. You see, they gave you, it's like this text example in your personal power. But let's go here. So if you want to, if this is a text widget, so are you saying that, you see that I added two text, are you saying that all our text should be looking like this? We have a UI, for example, this one is big, this one is small. Are you saying that all our text will look like this? Flutter says, well, we gave you an option to customize this widget. And that if you go into text and hover on it, you'll be able to give it a style. You can style the text. You can wear it a new clothes. You can do it as you want. So let's do style. So when you put the property, let's say you hover on it, on the widget, you already see the type of what you should pass. Look at the type. You should pass in a text style. So let's copy that and put it here and open bracket. So you see, you can pass in a text tag. Inside the text tag, it has its own properties too. So cool. You can have font size, font weight, you have color, you can have letter spacing. It's a whole lot of things that you can play around with. So let's take the common ones. You can have color dots, colors dots. Let's look at a couple of colors here. There are a lot of colors. You're good to go. You can add in, let's say we add in light blue. Yeah, you can add in light blue. Let's tweak this a bit. Let's give it a font size. If you have used any like Microsoft Word and all those things, this is basically what you are doing. You are adding a font size. Let's give it 43. Oops, it's too big. Let's give it 30. Hey, our font size is good. And we are good to go. See, we have built an app for our bootcamp. Good. Now you can see that these items are not on the same line, are not in the center. That means that in this column widget, you can have a property called max axis. Is it main axis alignment? No, we can do cross axis alignment and do cross axis alignment dot center. Let's see. Oh, I think it's the main one. So you can do main axis alignment dot center. Okay, so this one we take it to the middle here. The cross axis alignment will take it to the center. Yeah, it's actually in the center, but I know what's the problem. We need to fill up the whole screen, but that's another talk for another day. Okay, so let's continue. Now, you can draw stuff in Flutter. Let's say you want to create a small rectangle or a container. How do you do that? Remember that I said container. Flutter is thinking, people will be thinking of container. So there's a container widget in Flutter too. You see? So you can give it an height. You can give it a height. Let's say we are giving a height of 40. If you want to create a square, it has to be the same size, right? You can't see it on the screen after I saved. It's because we have not added a color. So let's say we added a color. You can give it any color. Let's give it green. Hey, we have a green container here. Yes. So let's increase the height and width a bit. And let's see what we can. So Flutter is looking at it that that you have given you this, but because you people, you like things too much. For example, let's try to create this thing that you are looking at like this. Let's try to create it. This one that is smiling like this. Let's sort of mimic it. So remember, this is a container, right? You create a container of white background. So we will go back to our Flute lab. I want to create a container. Let's make the container bigger. The colors will be white. Oh, so if you look at it, this is actually white. But because our background is looking like white, so we don't know. So let's try to pick the color of this background. It's not a real Figma file, so I can't actually tell the color. But what I can do is my Excalidraw. I can pick the color. Picking the color. So when you are working with Figma files, when as a Flutter developer, your UI designer will give you Figma file. That's like a UI design. And when you click on any of the elements, you are supposed to see the color. So you can, but the color will always come in this format, something like this format. But remember when we were passing color, I've been passing colors.red, colors.orange. So there's a way to pass it. Now, in this scaffold, it has a property that we can set the background color. Remember in this our project, this is like our body. So you can set the color of your body. Flutter allows you to do that with the background color property. So to pass in that type of color, I just open color class and just put 0x put in your color code. Make sure to remove this hash. Okay. Is this the color that I took? That's not it now. Come in. Let me pick the color again. Copy it. Okay. Let's just pass in the color. Remember, you have to put 0x. We remove this hash key. So I think the color on the background, the color is shown. Hey, Chineke. I think the color is not showing properly. The color is not sharp. It's actually the color, but the color is not. Well, let's go with the color that is more pronounced. Let's do red accents. Yes. In fact, you can add an opacity here. You can use the with opacity method, and you can reduce the colors to maybe shiny in our face. It's like the opacity is. I think I need to do red itself because that's an accent. So let's just use red accent then. Okay. So we want to actually create this guy. Now look at it now. What you have created here is a box, but the edges are very sharp. It's not looking like this guy. This one, the edges are curved. So how do you do that? Flutter recognizes that you people, you want to frustrate him. So let's remove this color. And Flutter has a container has a property called decoration. It means that you can decorate a container, but you have to pass in a box decoration class inside of it. A box decoration class. So it is inside here. We will now say, let's give it a color of white. It is back. Yay, my people. And you can also give it another property. Now remember that what we want to do is we want to make it curve. There's a property here called border radius. So you can say border radius dot all, and you can say radius dot circular, and I can pass in 20. You see, it has curved like this. Does it look like this guy? It's looking like it too, because I passed in 20. Someone is saying the app is looking beautiful. Okay, see, you have curved it. Yeah. Nice. Okay. Look at here. You have two people here. How can we do it that we have two of this container on the same line? I mentioned it the other time when I was talking about this one, that there's a widget that you can use to do horizontal list of widgets. That if you want to add plenty widgets, you can use that widget. Row, okay. Be like this guy. You have done Flutter before. Yeah, this guy's. Okay. So let's create, that means you have to create a row widget. You want to have two containers on the same line. So you can create a row widget. is almost the same thing as this column. The row widget will also take in children. So the children that we want to have is, we want to have the first child to be container and the second child to be container. See, two side by side. But they are too close to each other now. That's not what we want. They are like, we want to have a space between both of them. There's a way to do it. You can play around with this main axis alignment of this row. There's something called main axis alignment. You can say main axis alignment dot space around. One space to be around them, like this. Hey, Chineke. Or you can say you want space between. But when you do space between, they are they are almost there. And you can also say space evenly. This looks like it. Right. It gives you the space from here to here is the same thing as the space from here to here. Same thing as the space from here to here. So we can make do with this space. Right? Okay. Now there's a problem. This Flutter Bootcamp 1.0 is kissing this guy. It's like it's not giving it, it's kissing it too much. But remember that when we were talking about widgets, we talk about there's a space widget. There's a widget that can allow you to give space. So that widget, we call it sized box. It's like you're creating an imaginary box of certain size. So giving it a size box, we can say, I want a height of 10 between this Flutter Bootcamp and this row. And when I save, it says, give me space. Come on, give me space. You can increase it, let's increase it like 30. See, so give me space. Come on. In fact, we can set this main axis alignment to center. Because you can see that they are kissing each other. Between the container, we can give it a size box. And we give it a width. Size box can take in a width or a height. When we give a space from this one to the row, we give it a height because it's horizontal. Because it's vertical, sorry. But because this is horizontal, you can give it a space, and we have to give it a width, like from here to here. And when we save, hey, glory. So let's give it some more space to look like, let's give it like 30. Bingo. Yeah. We are beauty. You can see we are beauty. All of you people have become Flutter developers now. We are building stuffs. Okay. Now that we have that done, let's go back to our UI again. There are two things inside the UI. There is this one, and there is this one. Right. So we have two containers inside. We have two containers like this. 1, 2. There's a space between this one, 2. Right? So how do we do that? So let's go back to this thing. A container can also take in a child. So when you want to put something inside a widget, they usually have a child property. Like this is inside a container. So now inside this container, we can say, remember that this is 2 widgets. So you want to put 2 widgets inside the container. So you have to, of course, use a column. So we want to have a column that will take in 2 widgets. The first widget will be like icon dot. Okay, so sorry, we don't have this icon that is smiling. So I will just use any icon that I have. So I will have icons dot, hey, let's use this one. Hey. So we can increase the icon by giving it a size. Let's give it a size of 20. It's like the icon is now becoming small. This is cool. So we have done the icon. But usually your UI designer should give you the icon. Then there's a text, great. So let's have another text. Text, great, right? The great is good, but it's not bold. It is bold here. Attention to detail, it is bold. So how do we make it bold? We will do the style property, give it a text style. And there is a property here called font width. You can now say font width dot bold. Font width dot bold. You can see it makes it bold. Nice. But so this is inside the column, the icon and the text. But there's one problem. All of them is at the top. So you can play around with this column. Let's do main axis alignment. Main axis alignment dot center. That is going to, this is the main axis. The main axis will go from top to down, and then we can save that. See, it's at the middle. Yeah. But then, if you look at this, there's a space there. You know how we do space now. From icon to text, we add a size box in the middle, and then we give it a height of, let's say, 20 is too much. Let's give it 10. Yay! You see, you have done it. You have done it right. Yes, now we have a property to insert an external image. You can insert external image widget that you can use. Yeah, I'm enjoying it because see now, you are building. You guys are Flutter developers now. You see what your people are doing. Okay, so we want to do the second one. Instead of wasting our time, you can just copy that same container and replace it, and replace the second container with it. Yeah, and you can change it. Let's call it good. And we can change the icon to be account balance. Nice. Okay. You see, we have good. We are building stuff. We are building stuff here. Yes, I love balances. It's for you people to go and find work now. You people have graduated. Okay, so that is what we have. And I'm going to give a classwork that I'm going to give you a very simple UI. I post it on Discord. So make sure you're on Discord so that you will try your hands on it, and I can always give you feedback of what you should do. So make sure that you are on Discord. I want to build a community on Discord that will that I will take from 0 to pro. So I need you folks to always give feedback on Discord, and from there, I'm hoping by next year should be a good Flutter developer. If you can dedicate like 6 months to your learning, you will become a badass Flutter developer. Okay. So what else are we doing? Okay, so let's talk about this one. Let's talk about, so how do you create, in every UI, at some point you'll be tapping on something, and these things are called buttons. Let's look at it. There are button widgets. See, we have talked about text, we have talked about row, column, we have not talked about stack, but we have talked about container. So let's talk about buttons. I'm looking for where it is. See, the documentation of Flutter is so good, I can play around with anything. I'm looking for, it's very hard for you to say something here. Let's check. The Flutter has 3 buttons. Okay. Okay. Flutter has these buttons that you have. We have elevated button, we have text button, we have outline button, we have drop down, you have floating. But the ones you are probably going to be using most, be using text, outline button, elevated button, icon button. You get it. Don't get it. Forget about it. Okay. You guys are talking there. Let's see. So now let's talk about the buttons. So let's do elevated buttons. So I recommend checking Flutter's documentation. It has so much stuff that helps you. In fact, it has code samples like this. So now you have, this is how to create an elevated button in Flutter. So let's do that. So at the bottom of this row, so you have to get out of this row. Look at the line. This is row. Look at the line. Yes, outside of the row. If you do it inside here, it will put whatever you have done beside here, and it will mess up your UI. So make sure that once you are done with what you are doing in the row, make sure you come out of that. And then you can enter elevated button. So having an elevated button, it has a property called onPressed. This onPressed takes in a callback function. This is how to create a callback function. So we talk about callback functions when we are doing action, but usually anything you enter inside these curly braces, you want that thing to happen when you click the button. That's it. So this is an elevated button. It has a child. The child can take a text. Let's say click on me. See? You see when you're over save, it's already doing. Let's put a size box here and give it a height of like 20. You see? Click on me. I said click on me. Now to style, you can give to style the elevated button, you can give it a style, and there's a property called elevated button dot style from here, like this. If you look at it, it has a whole lot of color. You can say, I think it has a primary. If I give it a primary, I can give it a color dot green. See, it changes the color to gray. Okay, so let's continue. You can give it a size, actually. You can tell it a maximum size. So let's give it a max size. It's taking a size property. Am I correct? Let's see. Oh, I have to do it inside here. So size, we take in a width and a height. I can give it a height of 40, a width of 50. What is happening here? Oh, I can't tell height. Just 40, comma. Oh my God. I need to give it a minimum size, I guess. I need to give it, let's say 20. This is width. This is height. Ah, so small. Let's say we do 80. Ah, that's so small. Let's do 160. Ah. Let's do minimum to be 80. So you can play around with this. Yeah. And whatever you add, so yeah, that's elevated button, and whatever you want it to do. So there are a lot of properties on elevated button actually. And you know that you can use a container to sort of create a button as well. You don't necessarily need to use the button. If you can't customize it enough, you can give a container a height. I give it a height. and I give it a width of, let's say, 100. Remember that I have to do a decoration. I do box decoration, and I give it a color, colors.green. And here, remember the border radius. You can say the border radius dot all radius dot circular. I do like 5. Let me give it. See, I'm almost created the same button. And in fact, I can give it some more border radius so that it will curve very well. Let's give it 20. See, you can see it curves very well and it's looking more like this. So for every container, there is also a child, remember? And for a child, it takes in a widget, so we can pass in a text widget. And it has click on me. But this guy is not in the center. So there is a widget called center widget that you can use to wrap a widget and to stay in the center. Great. So I'm giving you some basic stuff for widgets now. So what I'd expect from you is there are lots of video online where you can watch UI designs, how to build UIs in Flutter. Now that you have foundation, a simple foundation of it, you know how widgets work, you can just create, you can just watch a lot of videos on UI designs. That's how I started. So once I understood all this basic stuff, and I started to watch YouTube tutorials on UI design, and then my UI design started to get better and better. So that is what I think you should do to be able to master UI in Flutter. Okay, so I have questions. Okay, you have questions, so let's. So let's see. I noticed something, the items are all centered. Yeah, it will be, so the way Flutter works is it will take the width of the content you give to it. Now remember when we do row and we pass in 2 containers, it automatically used the row to set the width as the length of the screen. So let's say we sort of comment out the row. You see everything comes back and it's not centered. So it uses the row to sort of get the size that I think is the full size. You get it? So that is that. Do you have any questions? You can use the remaining time to answer questions. I think I'm going to stop at here, since you have the basic. Tomorrow is a project day. I'm going to try to build out a project in Flutter for you. The spacing of the 2 containers, you want to see Yeah, I put a size box, the width to be 30 here. I think I can share this project with you so you can check, can view. Anyone with the link can view. So I'm going to post the link here. Okay. So that's basically what we are doing. Okay, so before I finish this, let's do another one. I think before I will still have some time. Now remember I've been teaching you stateless widgets that it doesn't have states. Now let's go to profile.dat. We want to do another widget called stateful widget. You can see that of all the things we have been doing, it does not change. Everything is static. What we have entered here is static. If you add 2 here, it's 2 that you will see. But sometimes you want to create UIs that changes. So you are going to use stateless widget. So on a new dot file, I said profile.dat. To create a stateful widget, you remember when we wanted to create stateless, we did STLS, STLESS, that's stateless. For stateful, STFUL. So you will scroll down a bit, you will see this stateful widget. So clicking on that, we create a stateful widget. You will still see the cursor blinking, so make sure that you enter while it's still blinking. So profile screen. So a profile screen, wait, let's do that again. I scroll down, I see stateful widget. I do profile screen. Now that you have it, click on this stateful widget and make sure you import material because we need material, and I hit save. Yes. Now, in my home page, in my main.dat, instead of home screen, I'm going to point it to profile screen. That's what I want it to show. You can see that our screen is now blank because in our profile screen, it's only a container and it's saying that the container is blank, right? So what should we do? We need to set a layout, right? We need to do scaffold. We want to create a simple sheet. Still loading this thing. Oh no, it's loading. I think only one person has joined the project. If you join the project, you'll be able to follow along as I'm doing it, I think. Be able to view it. Okay, so let's save. So let's have an app bar. App bar. Yes, we have an app bar. So in the body, let's have a column and we have a text. In the text, we have text will always take a string. We will have account balance. So we want to make sure that it is account balance. And we can do main axis alignment dot center. Okay, we have another text and we say the balance is 0. You have 0 in your account balance. That's too poor. Let's style it a bit. You know how to style it. I've gone through all those ones. Account balance colors.red, right? And then we can give it a font. And give it a font size of 20, so it's become begin. So let's do the same thing here. The account balance will be bigger. Okay. Now, the third one is let's add a size box of height, let's say 50, and then we add a button. So instead of creating the button again, I'm just going back to my project. I just put in a button there. So I'm going to add a text, increase my account. Hey, we want to hack UBA now. Let me remove I want to hack UBA. Now, you can see that this thing is not in the center. So how do I make it center? I can wrap this column with a widget, with a size box widget, and I can set the width to, there's something called media query that you can use to get the size of your screen. So you can use a media query to get the size of your screen and to get it. You see, it just takes all the size of your screen. Boom. Okay, what we want to do actually is anytime we click on increase my account, this is our balance. It will be adding by 20,000 naira. We want to hack the bank. UBA should wait for us. We want to hack the bank right now, such that anytime we are clicking on increase, this 0 will be increasing. It just be increasing as many times as possible. How do you do that? Remember that I said in an elevated button, this onPress has a callback, such that anything I add inside here will execute. Now remember that we in our dat class, we did something that we created a variable and call it UBA. So all the dat thing that you learned, you think is play. UBA account balance initially is 0, like this. So instead of passing 0 directly here, we just give it to our text here. But our text is complaining because it can only take a string. So to take a string, we just pass in the string and then this $sign. Remember how we did it in our print? Yes, basically it. So when I save it, 0 is still showing because it's showing this 0. So inside this unpressed, I want to do it that anytime that I'm clicking this button, I'm hacking UBA Bank, and my balance will be increasing. So what I need to do is remember that we are using a stateful widget. You cannot do this in a stateless widget. It's not possible. An action that another widget will be changed is not possible because it does not have states. But for a stateful widget, when you can do it that these things continue to change. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say UBA account balance equals to UBA account balance plus 20,000. And that's too much. Let's not have too much. And I save. So let's try it now. Increase my account. Increase. It looks like we don't have enough hacking skills. So because our account did not change. But the thing is, if you are using a stateful widget, you need to call like a method that will notify all the widgets, that will notify this widget that it should change to the value. As you are hitting on this unpressed now, well done, Chinaza. As you are hitting on this press now, it's not like it's not changing, but it's just not showing. So how do you tell it to show? You have to put this thing here inside something we called set state. Is a method that takes in a callback method like this. And you now take that your logic that you have written and put it inside. Then we close it like this. So what you are telling it is that anytime I'm pressing this button, set the state of my account balance to be this thing. So, and anytime you do that, it will now rebuild all these widgets internally. You will not see it, but it will do it at a very high speed that this number will now start to change in front of your very eyes, in front of your eyes. So let's save and let's hack UBA. Let's go. Oh no, we have hacked. We have hacked the UBA. Awesome. You see? You see? That's how to hack UBA. But the problem is UBA is now, once you have hacked them a lot, it will trigger their system. They will now do something and create another button. And they will say, we are creating a button to decrease your account. So how do you decrease your account? You have to minus 2,000 from whatever is in your account. You see, I'm doing it in test state again. I need to notify your account balance that I want to minus 20,000 there. So all the widgets will rebuild at a very high speed that you will not see it. So let's have a size box in the middle and put a height of 20. Okay. So as you are increasing your accounts, UBA can say decrease this account. In fact, they have debited you to minus. They are punishing you. Okay. They have punished you, and it's cool. So you want to make the decrease your account red color. So according to what Prince is saying, let's make decrease. So we just do red, colors.red. Yeah, as you're increasing, they are decreasing it. Cool. So I think we are going to stop here. If you rewatch this video again, all these concepts, you will understand it. And you're like, whoo. So this is how simple this thing is. Okay, so if you have any questions, now is the time. We have 8 minutes to go. And I think I am tired. Okay, make sure to, if you are enjoying this class, I love you to drop a testimonial for me on my Lighthall account. I see, was it Philip or some Prince that dropped one yesterday? Like it very much. So what if we also set a state where when it is negative, it is red, and when it's possible, so you can do, let's see how you can do it. But the thing is, you have to create a color. So you can create a color class and say account balance color. So initially it will be colors.green, like this. So then you can now say, in this account balance, you can now say, there's something we call ternary operators. You can now say if account balance is less than 0, you should make the color, you actually don't need this actually, but I can do it. You can say make the color, if account balance is less than 0, make the color red, else make the color green. That would mean if the account balance is less than 0. Yeah. So look at it now. If the account balance is less than 0, it's just logic. Do colors.red. If it's green, oh yeah, let's do it. So I'm increasing, it's green. So let's reduce. Boom. Simple. It doesn't take more than that. You just do a check. You remember the if statement I taught you then? This, you can do a ternary operation on the same line. It will change. Why shouldn't it change? Okay. So that will be the end of this class. Thank you very much for joining. You can watch this video again. I think you have access to the code. You can check the code and play around with it. You will discover interesting stuff. Play around with it. Okay. Flutter is interesting, right? Yeah, it's good. Okay, so I'm going to stop recording.